Okay, so today I have the pleasure of introducing someone very near and dear to my heart, Mr. Jerrell Davis. So just to tell you guys a little bit about Jerrell, this is Jerrell, aka Rell Be. He is a proud product of the South End. He brings creative artistry and radical activism together through music, education, and building Umoja, which is unity. Rell is a founding member of WABLOC, Washington Building Leaders of Change, which serves out in the Rainier Beach High School, working with the Rainier's People Party. On top of all of that, he is also an MC, a musician that released his third solo project, New Growth, on February 24th. I would say more than all of that, I've gotten to grow up with Jerrell, and I've been able to see him, and he is like dedicated to elevating not only himself, but the people around him, and he's definitely somebody that I look up to, so you guys are really in for a treat today. So, without further ado, please give it up for Mr. Rell Be.
Check, 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 check. Thank you, Haley. My peers seem to be concerned with taking next steps, even though that don't necessitate progress. Just being honest, I'm trying to live life the finest, and every connection that I'm collecting is part of the process. Networking. That's how I measure my net worth in. So graduation straight to a cubicle ain't working. Not for me, at least. If I'm seeking peace but keep a peace, that's paying attention forward. I don't need a leash to be released. And I ain't got a chain yet because I don't need a leash. It's a dog-eat-dog world. You need to be a beast or play fetch. And most of y'all got a collar around your neck, surrounded by a fence on the back of your master's deck. So I don't rock with these systems that only attempt to limit us, measure the parameters and extend the perimeters. We're only bound by the boundaries that we set, and we're bound to break the bondage from these chains on our neck. If you chain to a check and you spend it on whips, that puts power to the cycle, so it likely persists. And we've been walking through the shadows like we walking through the shade. All I seen was whips and chains like I'm talking to a slave. He like, I want to get my master's degree. Wow, you got to pay the master a fee. Ouch. And it's true because they manipulate our education. Then they tell us that's the only means of elevation. The revelation is we got to find our own way. No wonder hustlers moving bricks like the Stone Age. I want to live behind these bars. That's your own cage. I had to holler at my homies from the old days because I dropped them from the team like an amnesty. They still moving weight. I'm moving geographically, internationally. Chasing passion. They stuck between the yoke of expectation and reality. I could run for office, but I'd rather run for freedom. Look into this king's dome and you see the kingdom. Next steps. What's up, y'all? My name is Jerrell. I go by Rell Be. Today, I'm going to be facilitating a little bit of space for y'all. Is that cool? Y'all with me? Y'all are here till 4 p.m., right? So that means y'all ain't about to just like get up. Before we get started though, I want to make sure we got some agreements. Like I said, my name is Jerrell. I come from the South End of Seattle. Is anybody from the South End out here? Rainier Beach, Skyway, you know what I'm saying? Okay. I know we in Highline. Shout out to South King County. Okay. Or Des Moines, is this? Yeah, shout out to Des Moines. I don't be out here that often. It was cool. It's like a 15-minute drive. It's all good. But today, I'm going to be engaging y'all. I'm also going to be asking you to give some energy back. You're going to see me up here. I'm going to give you a whole lot of energy. I'm going to be talking. I'm going to be moving around. I might dance. I'm going to rap. I'm going to do poems. I will not sing. But I will invite y'all to participate in some things. I'm going to be asking questions. I don't ask rhetorical questions, okay? So if I need to call on somebody, and I learned a few people's names, y'all didn't know that, but I learned a few of y'all's names. So just volunteer. That way I don't got to call you out individually, okay? Like you heard earlier, I work at Rainier Beach High School. I have an organization called WABLOC, Washington Building Leaders of Change. It's something that we've been doing for the last few summers. Is that a cool speed for y'all, by the way? I want to make sure we're in sync. Solid. And I appreciate us having this, by the way. Peace to everybody that's up in here. At Rainier Beach, we've been running a summer program called Freedom Schools. Let me hear you say Freedom Schools. And Freedom Schools comes out of 1964 Freedom Summer in Mississippi. SNCC, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, they would send college kids down to the areas in the Delta of Mississippi. And they would host these sessions with the young people and with the adults, teaching them about literacy, leadership, as well as getting people registered to vote. And this is 1964. So the context of 1964, we wasn't able to vote. Y'all know that, right? Okay, there's gonna be some things I'm gonna assume y'all know. And if it's not, if you have a question, you got a fact check, you can go ahead and ask me. That's why I always bring a bibliography. Okay, so there's a table over here that has a whole bunch of literature. Some of it's more creative, some of it is more academic, but there is a little bibliography over here of some of the things that I'm gonna be talking about during any kind of break or anything. Feel free to come over here and check them out. Don't take them though, because them is mine. But before we get started, I want to make sure we are all on the same page. This space is gonna be called Manifest. Manifest. I know a lot of times our context with the term manifest comes from manifest destiny. Y'all heard of manifest destiny, right? Yeah, that's what the colonizers said to justify invading indigenous land and committing genocide. Manifest destiny. God said we could do that. Okay? So it put a little bit of a negative connotation with the term manifest. But what manifest really means is to make happen, to seek, become real. Okay? And what I want to give an example of today is how I came from a space just like y'all. I was a student just like y'all. Y'all probably think I'm younger than you. I'm 25, by the way. I know I look 17. That's okay. Okay? I want to show y'all examples from my life and the organizing that I've been a part of that will show y'all you can do everything that I am going to be talking about today when it comes to music, when it comes to organizing. And I've had the blessing to be a part of some dynamic and revolutionary actions in the city of Seattle, and I want to share those with you today. But one of the things that we do at Freedom Schools, before we start a space, we got to make sure we're all in agreement about how this space is going to look. Otherwise, we're all going different directions, okay? And so we have this thing called a cooperation contract. In my classrooms, I don't got rules. It's not about setting regulations and telling people what to do and how they're going to do it. But it's about an agreement. How do we hold a space where we're all engaging? How do we hold a space where we all feel safe? And so I wrote a few of these up here, and I want to go through them. And if any of y'all want to add to this list, we're going to add to this list as well, okay? And these are going to be the agreements we're going to check. One mic. Y'all know what one mic means? What does one mic mean? One person talking at a time. Literally, there is one mic in my hand. I may not always pass it to you, but when someone's speaking, when y'all are in your groups, we just want to respect that when one person's talking, we're going to let them talk. The next one says participation. Y'all some college kids, so this might be hard for you. Participation. When I ask a question, I'm going to expect that you respond. Check. So when I say check, you say check. Check. Okay, y'all are listening. Open-mindedness. Who knows what that means? Someone break that down for me. I got to frame it as a question. What does open-mindedness mean? Let me go back to the first one, the second one. Participation. I'm going to ask a third time, and I'm cool with silence. What does open-mindedness mean?
You try to listen to what someone says, and you don't want to give a negative vibe or impression of what somebody's saying. Just let them finish and then have a discussion, but try not to demonize each other.
Beautiful. Give it up for that man. Give him some snaps. Snap, 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 snaps. We're going to be poetry today. It's poetry night. Okay? That next one says respect perspectives. We got a very diverse room right here. I'm sure we got some international students. Okay, we got some folks from Seattle. I'm sure we got folks from outside the country, folk from rich neighborhoods, folk from poor neighborhoods. We got women, we got men, we got everything in between. We got non-binary, we got fly people, we got everything up in here, okay? I wasn't going to say the opposite of fly. I ain't clowning nobody, okay? But we want to respect each other's perspectives because we may hear something that pushes us a little bit different. I'm going to be talking about some brand new ideas for you. I'm going to be talking about some stuff that has to do with getting rid of some of the systems that we're so used to that we can't even imagine a world without them, like prison, like police, like the government. Not all no anarchy type stuff, but we're going to talk about it, okay? And so we want to respect each other's perspectives because that's the only way we can learn. If you grow uncomfortable, that's good because that's the process of learning is you have to be in some discomfort, okay? Are y'all comfortable right now, though? You cool. I see eyes looking at me. Solid. Is there anything else that y'all think we should add to this list that will help you feel safe? And there's actually one that's not up there that I want to add. Please feel free to use the bathroom whenever you need to. Don't ask me. Don't like raise your hand like, can I go? Like, yes, you can go to the bathroom. You don't have to ask me. Just like do what you got to do. My sister. Thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. Did y'all hear her? She said, use your manners. You. Use your manners, bruh. I can tell already. I'm playing. Use your manners. Thank you. We're going to add that to our list. Check. Is there anything else that people want to add to this list? Okay, let me see you raise your strong hand, the hand that you write with. Put it up. Now, act as if you got a pencil in your hand. Not a pencil, a pen. So it's a little bit different when you write with pens, right? Okay, you're going to sign your signature. Okay, that means you just signed this contract. It's legally binding. Y'all signed without knowing what you were signing on to? Okay, we got to talk about that. We're going to talk about that later, though. We all just signed this contract. We're going to honor some of these things. We're going to honor all of these things, including use your manners and including what was just said. Go to the bathroom when you feel like it, okay? That's what we're going to do today. I'm going to go right into it. So like I said, I started an organization with a group of friends called WABLOC, Washington Building Leaders of Change. I'm going to be showing y'all some of the things that we're doing so that you can see the example of what's been created. We started WABLOC. We came out of an organization originally called Urban Impact. When I was living in Guatemala, after I graduated from college, I went to Seattle Pacific University, straight out of high school to SPU. When I came back, I started working at Rainier Beach High School. I'm from the south end of Seattle. How many of y'all have, oh, what's up? What you raising your hand for? You from the south end? You went to Beach? What's your name? Nice to meet you. I'm Jerrell. Welcome. What's poppin'? You went to Beach? Oh, it's love in here. Sister, you got another question? Hi. Word. So, Pete, Washington Building Leaders of Change. We operate out of Rainier Beach High School. And what we do is we host this summer program. On top of that, what we built out of that was a year-round programming. And so in Rainier Beach, I work with first-year teachers. So as teachers are coming into the school, and Rainier Beach is a school, if you don't know the context, we have one of the highest turnover in Seattle Public School District. We are the least funded in Seattle Public School District. We are the blackest school in the state of Washington, okay? And so this is a school that's not invested in. And I'm from this neighborhood. And so what we decided to do was, how do we infiltrate the system? How do we create opportunities in a way that is not present at the school, okay? And I want to show you what it says when we talk about approach. Our theory of change, we talk about intergenerational leadership development. And so the students that we're working with, when they're freshmen, sophomores, we are providing opportunity for them to be in leadership as they get older. We've had students that graduated from Beach that are now employees of WABLOC and working with us and making livable wages, serving their own community. How many of y'all have an aspiration to serve the neighborhood or the city you grew up in? Okay, a few people. That's good. How many of y'all care about stuff, period? A little bit more, okay. For those of you that don't care about stuff, by the end of the day, I guarantee we're gonna switch that up, okay? This idea came out of, we have young folk in my neighborhood that are over-criminalized, over-policed, over-disciplined, and under-invested at the same time, okay? And so we have teachers that will send them to the office without inquiring as to what's going on with them. And so what we wanted to do was create a way that we could invest in their cultural identity as well as their academic identity, which school seems to only focus on one. And what Freedom Schools is focused on is raising up these young folk to have opportunities for livable wages, as well as just being successful in life. Restorative justice. How many of y'all are familiar with restorative justice? Yeah? So restorative justice is a practice that comes out of the indigenous folk of the United States, okay, the Tagish people. And it is a form of conflict resolution, community building, that is the opposite of criminal justice. Criminal justice focuses on crimes, somebody doing something, so you must get punished. It's punitive. Who knows what punitive means? Punitive, punish. What does it mean to punish someone? Discipline. When you get in trouble, when you was little, you might have got spanked. You get time out. You get your phone taken away. I know I talked to high school about taking their phone away. They get ready to fight me. If I asked y'all to okay, everybody, give me your phones, a few of y'all going to be like, you're going to slip it in your back pocket. I'm not going to see it, okay? Restorative justice is focused on restoring the situation. For example, we take over the disciplinary action at Rainier Beach when we can, when the administration is cooperative. And what that looks like is if a student, for example, let's say calls a teacher out their name, and it gets to a point where the teacher feels threatened. Sometimes teachers are afraid of their students. Could you imagine your teacher admitting they're afraid of you? That sounds foolish, doesn't it? Somehow teachers are not taught not to say stuff like that. So in a situation like that, instead of the student getting kicked out and potentially suspended just because of the teacher's perspective, what we do is we sit down with them. We host circles. And these circles are similar to the spaces that we just did with that cooperation contract. Is we come to an agreement of a space, and we want to share perspectives. We want to understand the root of the problem. The problem with punitive action is that it doesn't get to the root. It's attempted at correcting. For example, how many of y'all have folk that's in prison or know people that have been to prison? Thank y'all for sharing that, okay? I don't know any examples of someone going into prison and coming out redeemed and restored. In fact, prison actually demoralizes folks worse, and that's a problem with the system. We'll be talking about some alternatives to prison as well. And so restorative justice is an element that we engage with at school at Rainier Beach with Wablock. And this main thing I want to talk about, parent engagement. How many of y'all have parents that were engaged in your education? I know I got to raise my hand. There is a statistical correlation between parent engagement and student success. Meaning, if your parents are more engaged with your education, you're likely going to perform better. Now, that does not tell the whole story, does it? Because we know that, like I said, at Rainier Beach, we're coming from a neighborhood that's plagued by poverty, unemployment, okay, criminal activity, not criminal activity in that everybody's doing crimes, but they're over-policed and they're over-criminalized, and so people are getting put into prison and not put into college. Sister, do you got a question or something to say? I skipped something? That's also true. Thank you for mentioning that. A clean neighborhood is also correlated with safety in the neighborhood. And I'm actually going to talk about a little project that I've been a part of that talks about that too. Thank you. You might have to come up here and co-facilitate with me, okay? So one of the elements that we look to do at Rainier Beach is also to engage their parents. And so we bring them in on a weekly basis. I'm calling moms, I'm texting dads, and we're having conversation to bring them into the school to get them engaged. And we feel that that changes the way that they engage with the education. And we've seen a lot of success with our freedom schools. I just want to show some of the statistics. It's not all about statistics, it's really about results. But I want to show you this. So in our 6-week program in the summertime, 5 days a week, 8 a.m. to 4, okay? It sounds like your typical summer program, but if you come through the summer, and I'm inviting y'all, it's very different. For example, our students get 52 hours of reading throughout the summer. They get over 200 classroom hours in the summer. And so one of the things that we look to do is break that summer learning loss, which happens when students aren't reading, and now with phones, goodness. You can't get folks to read a regular book. How many of y'all seen a book lately? She the only one? Okay, I was about to say, she the only one that raised her hand. It's my example, perfect example. Okay, so we make sure that students are reading. Throughout the summer, students will read 6 books. Our high school students will read 6 books over 6 weeks. When's the last time you read 6 books in the summertime? Yeah, I thought it would be you and my sister right here. Okay, so we're reading a book a week. We're engaging them in the content of the book as well. It's not just about reading, but it's about the critical content that they're getting within the books. As you see, parents, we did measure this, so don't be thinking like we just like padding our numbers and stuff like, oh, is that fact? Like, don't question me. Just like assume that I'm not lying to you, okay? Parents perceive positive results and positive changes in their student. This is the main thing, though, I want to talk about as well, the student-to-staff ratio. What we look to do is try to transform the culture within school in your classrooms. How many of y'all had class today? Sister, I saw you earlier. How many people were in your class, students? 20? Word. Has anybody been in classrooms that were larger than 20? Yeah? What's the largest classroom you've been in? 50? 400. That must have been a university? Yeah. Whoa. Okay, that's why I went to a smaller university. Okay? Statistics have shown that the best ratio for a conducive learning environment is 1 to 10 to 12. However, most of our classrooms have one facilitator, one teacher, and maybe 30 or 40 students. And what we see is that a lot of times the students that don't feel like they're getting the most support, they're in that bottom half, they're also not going to get that support. And so what we transform is that we have a 1-to-10 ratio in our classrooms. On top of that, we make sure we have multiple facilitators, so it's not just one person, and that person is learning how to co-facilitate a space with another young adult or with another adult. And what we have seen is that allows students to actually get the engagement level that they need. If they need a little bit more support with their reading, we have enough facilitators, and there's enough people in the classroom that I can focus on this one student, and the other students feel at home and at peace with the education they're receiving. 100% of our students grew or maintained their academics. We did a pre and post test. Like I said, evidence-based. That's something I want you to walk away with. Everything you're going to do should be evidence-based, because these white people going to ask you for evidence. They're going to ask you for statistics. They're going to ask you to prove it. And so just make sure that everything is evidence-based. And that's what we do. We did a pre and post test to measure our students' ability to grow or increase in their academics. There was a project that happened a few summers ago where students advocated for Orca cards. And y'all may have heard about that. And the city of Seattle put up $1 million to provide Orca cards for all students in Seattle Public School District that qualify for free and reduced lunch. And that was about 3,000 students. And that was based off the organizing of maybe 50 students at Rainier Beach. And so when you talk about pulling for the margins, and we're going to talk about this when I talk about the People's Party, if you focus on the people that are most marginalized and elevating them, is a concept called universalism. It's not universalism, really. But if you focus, targeted universalism, you focus on the people that are most marginalized and you raise them up, naturally, everyone else will benefit. This is a perfect example. It may not translate all the time, but the example that they gave is a perfect example. And so, like I said, I'm a musician as well with all of these things that I do at the school. This is a picture from our summer. We went to the aquarium a few summers ago. And the thing that makes me most passionate about working with these young folk and working with the neighborhood is the fact that there's so much riding up against us. Okay? I'm a black male. I got long hair. I don't really care how I talk sometimes. Just the other day, my mom was like, pull up your pants. I'm like, what? Okay, I'm 25 years old. My mom's still telling me to pull my pants up. But because of stuff like that, I get identified for a certain reason. Okay, I got pulled over a few weeks ago for no reason. Cop admitted it was no reason. Okay? They just saw my dreadlocks down. And so what I'm talking about over-criminalizing, when I talk about the way that our society views, especially our young black brothers and sisters, okay, is that there's a predatory idea that they put on us. Y'all may have heard Hillary Clinton famously said we need to, first we have to bring them to heel before we figure out what was wrong with them. And so I'm actually going to perform a song for y'all that I did called Predator. And it has a little clip of Hillary Clinton's thing. And so I'm just going to tell y'all straight up real quick. I give hella energy. Y'all can tell by this, okay? I'm not going to stop doing this for the next 2 hours. So if you want to be a little bit more comfortable, you can like sit up. You can snap your fingers. You can smile at me. That's like okay. I know y'all tired. There's food. There's water. There's hugs. Can you give people hugs if they need one? If you need a hug, some of y'all look like you need a hug. If you need a hug, there's somebody that's right here to give you a hug, okay? Say, she want a hug. She want a hug. So I'm going to do this song called Predator, and my man's on the sound. Let's make this. I think it's going to sound good.
They are not just gangs of kids anymore. They are often the kinds of kids that are called super predators. No conscience, no empathy. We can talk about why they ended up that way, but first we have to bring them to heel.
Yeah, yeah. How's that volume? Can y'all hear it? Yeah? Okay. Yeah. Rell Be free. I would want a louder, but it's all good. Look. Killer be killed. Be real or be real. That's a cold combination, so the synergy ill. You feeling me still? Needs no pill to appeal. Arm strong enough in space to make an enemy kneel. My gravity is reality. I'm pulling the pressure. So you better take notes like I'm giving a lecture, cause I'm living like a villain. Civilians fear a young Negro. Don't see that we some kings though. Suspicious skin on my people. Red dots on my dreadlocks. Only die with headshots like a photo. I'm loco, got no love for the popo. System got debts to pay back since way back 1850. Please recall the Fugitive Slave Act that produced the police, but they won't say that. History books took the truth like way out of context. It's obvious that they hate us, never claim to be racist, passing more legislation that's based in discrimination. So I'm a predator, guess I'm just a predator, coming for your senator. The hurry ain't no metaphor, no. Predator, just a super predator. Arnold Schwarzenegger like he coming for a predator. Turner, predator, calling me a predator. Popo on your cellular, I might just shoot that messenger. Predator, just another peddler, paying for my genocide and capital expenditure. Copper's head hunting for a brother like me. 6 feet, black man in a black tee. Hold it, free your mind, this emancipation. Cleanse the game with this sanitation. I'm the bomb and abomination. Fred Douglass of a proclamation. Doc, I'm unchained. Rail Django Turner on Harriet's chariot with a burner. We getting further. First I take these keys and unlock my folk. Never seen the diaspora disappointed with hope. Free, who gon' pay for that? My producers got provision. Told y'all that it's different when you rap and come from privilege. So I don't be talking and acting hard cause I'm not. But I'm most deaf rep for my folk on the block. And private school ain't stopped Paul Lee from getting shot while the cops wasn't caught when Charlena got popped. I'm in awe. Seen too many of the young laws, so I ain't never ever finna cut my tongue off. I'll be a fool if I don't speak the truth and I seek the roots. If you need the proof, try me and I guarantee I'm on your back. Pikachu, say that we are predators, felons and thugs. Dangerous characters, probably selling the drugs. Oh, he was jugging weed, slinging single cigarettes. So they shot him in the back, left him with no silhouette. While independent militias be threatening governments, but they resolve it with peace and cover it. Bro, I'm over it. I'm just a predator. Guess I'm just a predator. Coming for your editor. Them it ain't no metaphor, no. Predator, just a super predator. I ain't Danny Glover, my brother. I'm such a predator. Predator, calling me a predator. Popo on your cellular, I might just shoot that messenger. Predator, just another peddler, paying for my genocide and capital expenditure. I pray. If y'all rocking with me, can you make some noise, please? I'm gonna be going back and forth, okay? Back and forth. Now, I want y'all to join me one time. I said some things that may have troubled you. That's okay. I'm not tripping. You might be tripping, but I'm not tripping, okay? Like I said, I think that there are ways that we can transform our communities and our cities and our systems and the way we live, but all we got to do is imagine it, because that's how everything started. New York City was flat once. Seattle is one of the most recently settled and colonized places in this nation. For real, did y'all know that? Western expansion? Andrew Jackson, he on the 20. Know your history. Let me ask y'all real quick. Can you please close your eyes? I'm gonna ask you to imagine something, okay? Go ahead and close your eyes. I see you. I see your eyes open. Yeah, I see you. I see your eyes. Eyes. Okay, don't fall asleep. That's good. With your eyes closed, I want you to put yourself in the neighborhood you grew up in. And maybe you moved around a lot. So just try to get yourself to a space where you were between the ages of like 6 and 12, okay? And you're standing on a block. Maybe you're standing in front of your elementary school. Maybe you're standing in front of your house. You might be wearing that, like your favorite dress or something. You see your cousin up the street. And I want you to think about that space, that area, that neighborhood, that city, that block without police existing. So the police is not an institution that you are even aware of because it doesn't exist. Think about that block without the impact of police engaging your neighborhood. Is there something else that ensures our safety? Imagine that. Is there another group of people, another system that ensures our security? What does that look like? Does it work? Why not? I invite you to open your eyes. Now, thank y'all for engaging with me. Snap it up for yourself. Snap it up for yourself. Y'all look like a really compliant group. I thought college kids was more like defiant and rebellious, but y'all like pretty good. That's what's up, okay? The reason why I wanted you to first imagine a world without something like police is because that's what stops us from getting there in the first place. We tell somebody, yo, I got this alternative to police, peep this. Oh, well, that won't work, blah, 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 blah. And then people start throwing shade on it before you even seen the light. Bars, okay? But what we got to do first is bring our imagination to it. And that's one thing I want to continue to invite people to do is just imagine a world that's different. 50 years ago, this space with black women, Chicanas, white men, me speaking on a microphone 50 years ago, this space was unimagined. This could not have happened 50 years ago. My grandmother would have been like, what? You did that? For real? And so it's not that things aren't possible, it's that we need to put our imagination to things to see if we can create it. And actually, I've been a part of some really radical and dope organizing led by young people that have exemplified this. And after I talk about this, we're actually going to break into some groups. And I want y'all to dream about this for a little bit. But I rock with a group called the Rainier Beach Action Coalition. Excuse me. And there's a group called Corner Greeters about 4 years ago. We had a community gathering at South Shore K8. And this young man was telling a story about, man, what if we went to the places, and it's all, I want to give some context. In 2014, they were doing construction on the local community center. And what we saw is that during the time that the community center was under construction, quote unquote, criminal activity in our neighborhood skyrocketed. Gang violence skyrocketed. 15-year-olds rolling around shooting people. 13-year-olds getting arrested and getting life in prison. Within the course of like 15, 16 months of them doing the renovation of this community center. So what we did, we said, how do we change our neighborhood? How do we have some autonomy in this neighborhood? And this young man had an idea. He said, what if we went to the places where crime is happening, when it's happening, based on statistics, and we transform the space? Lofty, okay? We actually were able to partner with SPD, not me, somebody else on that can do that. I be on the ground. I don't really be with them, okay? But we got the statistics from the Seattle Police Department. We were able to analyze the data and disaggregate it. Do you know what it means to disaggregate? It means to make it no longer aggregate. So you get a whole bunch of data, and you got to break it down. How many of y'all got to take statistics? Oh, okay, word. No, so you saying, but that's like statistics is how you can really make stuff. When you got if you got an organization, you got an idea, you got a little business, oh, you're going to have some of that, sister. But it is kind of nasty sometimes, okay? So we had to disaggregate the data, and we were able to identify the locations, the 5 locations in Rainier Beach where youth crime was most prevalent. On the consensus, it defines youth as ages 10 to 24. I just missed being a youth because I'm 25 now, okay? Y'all are all considered youth based on the consensus. 10 to 24. Okay, we were able to identify the 5 junctures in Rainier Beach that are most prevalent for youth crime. We were even able to identify when the most incidents occurred, the time of day the most incidents occurred, and the location. Based off this, we created a group called the Corner Greeters. And it's a team of Rainier Beach students that show up to these 5 locations in rotation. They talk to the businesses there to transform the relationships between young folk and business owners. Because I can tell you, I walk into the corner store, and they looking up me up and down. I walk into Safeway, and they got somebody following me. So you can imagine a 17-year-old group of young ladies that's coming in, playing their music. They ain't heard nobody. But they got somebody following them, assuming they might steal, assuming they might blah. Oh, you are loitering. Oh, you're making too much noise. Oh, I don't want you in my property. But they're customers. And I'm telling you this based on fact. I grew up in this neighborhood. I know this to be true. Might not be the same in your neighborhood, but I'm telling you about mine, okay? So we go to these locations where crime is most prevalent at the very hour that crime is happening based on the statistics. And what we have seen since we've been operating since summer 2015, is that crime rates have actually decreased in our neighborhood by 33%. That violent crime in our neighborhood is down by 50%. Now, we can't take all the credit for that because regentrification hitting the South End like a mug right now. We got folk coming in with their money, these little Amazonians. How many of y'all know somebody that work for Amazon? Yeah, we ain't asked that to happen. Because and I won't even go all into that. I'm going to stick to the topic of abolition, okay? I want to show y'all some examples, though, of what we do. Not only do we go to these locations, but we also encourage our own media. The thing about Rainier Beach, I don't know about your neighborhood, but the thing about my neighborhood is that whenever you see Rainier Beach in the news, whenever you see Rainier Beach on TV or in the paper, they talking about somebody getting shot. They talking about a drug deal. They talking about something negative. And so the only perception that people outside of my neighborhood have of my block is what they see in the paper. And they don't know about anything else. They don't know about the fact that young folk are out here graduating, right? They don't know about the fact that we got people in the NBA. DeJounte Murray, baby boy, plays for San Antonio Spurs. They don't know about the fact we got people in the NFL. They don't know that we got folk working for Amazon, traveling overseas. They don't talk about that, but they'll talk about the criminal activity. And so we created this thing called Freedom Net. Let me hear you say Freedom Net. Sometimes it doesn't make you say stuff to make sure like you're still paying attention, okay? And what they do, we get our young folk the Twitter page. How many of y'all got Twitter? Now, I know Twitter dying down, huh? That's Instagram and Snapchat. No? Twitter's still popping? My Twitter's not popping. That's my mistake, yeah. My Twitter's not popping. My Instagram popping, though, okay? So one of the things that we do is we have our own media, okay? We take pictures of what we're doing and we put it with a hashtag. And we got this thing called the Rainier Beach Newswire. And so on the Newswire, we flood it with positive content. Look at this. Miss Cheryl at work doing her thing. Look at these just young men at Rainier Beach. They just walk up. Look at Andres. Look at Khalil. Look at his little brother. I know those guys, okay? This is the Rainier Beach Newswire. These are things that they post up. Community, hope. Look at, they pick up trash. Sister girl, where you at? She said, neighborhoods are clean. So a few elements of what the Corner Greeters is. What we do information sharing. We share about the statistics that our project is based in. That's one thing. We have an engaging activity. So we might be giving away cantaloupe, watermelon, lemonade on a hot day. Like yesterday we was giving away lemonade and stuff. Something to engage people. We do these community safety surveys just to gauge people's perspective of how they view safety in the neighborhood. Beautification, litter. I be out there with a litter grabber. People think I'm on work release. Y'all know what work release is? Okay, for those of y'all that know what work release is, y'all know why that's funny. People think that I'm like, just got out of prison because I'm picking up litter on the side of the street, as opposed to, nah, I just like, there was trash. And so I picked it up and put it in a bag. You'll see so much trash right in front of the trash can. That don't make no sense to me. So one element of corner greeters is that we do litter grabbing. We have 2 to 3 people that the entire 3 hours that we're deployed, they're covering about a 50 to 100 foot radius, yard radius, within where we're at, picking up litter. And we do this weekly. People are always asking, why y'all doing that? That's kind of weird, right? But if in actuality, it's really about transforming our neighborhood, taking autonomy. One of the goals of this is to have autonomy and stewardship of our neighborhood. Too often, I'm at the high school, and I see people eating their hot Cheetos, and they just throw them on the side. I seen the kid the other day. He just like flipped his food. He flipped somebody's food. They had a plate of food, and he flipped it. Sound crazy, right? And then they just keep walking. Like, oh man, I just lost my plate. And there's food on the ground in his school. I'm like, bruh, you don't care? This is your school. Ain't nobody else gonna clean it up for you. That's the same way we try to view this neighborhood. That's the same way y'all should view your own neighborhoods. Have some autonomy around it. Sister, what's up? Mm-hmm. Yep, you're dope. You can start a corner greeters there. Holla at me, I got a handbook, okay? That's not a joke though, I really do. Oh, look at this, who are these people? That's me. That's my sister. That's my dad. Not pictured is my mom. She's beautiful, by the way. I love my mama. Okay, sorry, that was there's my boo. Look at her. Who's that? OG, Don Alexander. He actually just recently passed away. This is a man that dedicated his life to Rainier Beach. He did a lot of organizing in the Rainier Beach neighborhood. And so this is just an example I want to say. Everything that I do, everything that you will be on someone else's shoulders. And so when I talk about intergenerational leadership development, it's not about me. Your boy gonna pass away. I'm gonna be gone. I might be gone tomorrow. But what my goal is, at the end of the day, did I make a platform? Did I build a foundation that the next generation can take and run with? That's what my goal is. I don't care if I get the shine. I don't care if I get the credit. I don't care if I get the glory, because it's about passing it on so that we can all be rising. Check? Word up, okay? And so I want to, it's 2:57. I talk more than I think I do. So I want to break y'all up into some groups right now because I want us to brainstorm. And we're going to have 5 minutes, just 5 minutes. I think there's probably less than 40 people, so we could probably break into groups of about 6 to 8, okay? And you will have to get up. We talked about that earlier, participation. You signed your signature. You didn't sign your signature. Put up your strong hand. Take a pen in your hand. And then sign your signature. Okay, she signed the contract. She's with us now. She didn't even know what she signed up for. Look at it. We're going to have to work on this, y'all. Okay, so I'm going to ask us to break into 4 groups based on the word free. Who knows how to spell the word free? 4 letters, 4 groups. Oh, damn. Okay, so we're going to count off, Yeah, it's going to be 2 E's. That's okay. There's going to be 1 E over there, 1 E over there. Yeah. Thank you for pointing that out, though. I did not know how to spell free. Y'all know what my rap name is, right? It's Rell Be free. Girl, I know how to spell free. Okay? No, I'm messing with you. So we're going to break into groups of 4 groups. And what the premise will be is, I want you to take 5 to 10 minutes to just brainstorm. Brainstorm. What could a community look like without police? And it's not just to bash the police currently, but it's to say, what could an alternative be? Because I'm telling you right now, the way that police function, it's not working. If safety and security are the 2 goals of our current police force, it's not working. It is not effective for everyone. For some people, it may be working. But if it's only working at the expense of other people, that's a non-solution. So I would like y'all to put your brilliance to the test and to brainstorm some ideas. You can do this artistically. Back there at every table, there's some folks standing at the tables. There is a marker and there is chart paper. Oh, he came prepared, didn't he? Shout out to Haley, bringing all the materials. Okay. Oh, yeah, shout out to Highline Community College. Thank y'all for letting me be here. I should have said that at the beginning. Yeah. I'm going to just walk up in rooms and take microphones and just start talking all the time. So thank y'all for letting me have this opportunity. So I'm going to start over here. We're going to go F-R-E-E. My man with the hat on right there, raise your hand. You are going to be with the F group because you're standing there. Thank you. My sister with the sweater on, yellow, orange, what color is that? Tealish, green, and gray. Can y'all raise your hands? Turquoise. Thank you. Thank you. I get my colors mixed up. I got a weird color palette. Okay, there we go. That's going to be the R group. Are y'all cool with that? Solid. You might need to move your laptop. My man's, big bro, y'all going to be the first E. The first E. The first E. Okay? Huh? That's backwards. I'm bad. Oh, yeah. That E. That way. That was Twitter language. Okay? This table that got the iPhone, is that filming me? It is? Okay. Y'all might need to move that. Is that okay? That's going to be the second E. My man that just walked in, you are the second E. Solid. Okay? So we're going to go F-R-E-E, and I'm actually going to take a step back. I'm going to see how smart y'all are, which I know y'all are brilliant, and you're going to get into your groups yourself. Okay? So we're going to start here with F, and we're going to go whoop, 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 all the way around. Okay? We're going to take 5 minutes in these groups of probably about like 6 to 8 to 9 people. Check. Is there any questions about what we're about to do? Are there any questions on what the activity is? Oh, cool. So we clear. Sister, what's your name? Zoe, I'm Jerrell. Nice to meet you, Zoe. Can you start us off by spelling the word free? What's up, Jaleesa? Yep. When you say your letter, hop to it. Each table is a city or a neighborhood, okay? So you need to come up with a name of your neighborhood. You also need to come up with some alternatives to police. How could it look to have another group, a different entity, ensuring our safety, ensuring our security? Are they going to be strapped? They going to have guns on them still? Are they going to be rent-a-cops? They going to have a flashlight? They going to have a baton? Okay? I think in the UK, they got knives. They got switchblades. That's how they're going to enforce our security. Are there any questions about what's about to happen? Y'all also are going to be practicing your initiative and your college kidness by just like being in a group without me telling you what you're about to do. I invite you all to come back to your seats. Somebody grab the paper that you used, your chart paper. Thank y'all. Like I said, y'all a very compliant group. I should come and teach here. I don't know what class I would teach though. As you're coming back to your seats, I find it interesting that is sometimes a very difficult thing for people to just even like comprehend. Before even putting ideas to it, it's hard for people to just like intellectualize. When it comes to like making a change, it's one thing to intellectualize it. Everybody can say, oh yeah, all men are created equal. But when you say the term all men, is exactly, that's my point. Exactly. Everybody can intellectualize equality, but then how do we actualize it? Because then we start breaking down the term, okay, men, okay, historical context of when Thomas Jefferson wrote that, he meant white men that owned land, right? So then we start breaking these things down, and then it starts to become a little bit harder to apply. And that's why I wanted y'all to engage with this activity, just to get our brains to start wondering if something can be different, okay? We get so used to the way things are, we don't even allow ourselves to imagine them outside of that. If you grew up in a trigger warning, if you grew up in a household where you saw a loved one getting beat, and you couldn't imagine your life without that. Unfortunately, a lot of times that repeats in the relationships that we end up having. I watched my dad beat my mom. And now I got a new girlfriend, and I'm putting my hands on her. I always said I would never be like that. It's those kind of concepts. I'm speaking hypothetically, by the way, just narrating. No, but it's very real, and like I know that wasn't meant to be comedic. But the fact that we can't put our minds to seeing something different, that's a part of imagination. I think that because of cell phones, because of technology, it's actually limited our imagination, except for the folk that are behind the scenes making the computers. Can I have y'all share those out? And we don't got to start with FREE. Actually, we got eye contact right here. So we're going to start right here. We was looking right in my eyes. Got me. Okay? So we're going to start right here. Then we're going to go back. Then we're going to go to the left. And we're going to come up here. Okay? And share out. If y'all heard some of the similar ideas, just peep that. If you've heard something you never heard before, consider it. Respect perspectives, right? Go ahead. It's on you. Here, let me give you the mic, actually.
I'm good, thank you. I can read it. So our city is called Decant, I don't know. It'll be community-based with people watching over each other. We will be at peace because there is a sense of responsibility with everyone in the community. Community service over punishment. Jail will not have the same effect on people. Like jail, it will not be negative. There will be less negativity, at least in the community. The word street would have a different connotation. People would not assume a neighborhood is bad just because there are people there, like official people, whatever the governing system in place is. It will, like, as long as there is police there, if it's police or not, it will not be, people will not assume, oh, that's a bad neighborhood. There would be less discouraged kids in communities because I feel like police or punishment discourages kids from success or ever thinking that they are worth anything.
Thank you. Snap it up, snap it up, snap it up. y'all. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Our city is called City of Paradise, and we have some drawings. Thank you. And so basically, we'd have a community watch. You guys aren't seeing. So community watch and a community garden and a beautification company. And then there's a visualization, as y'all see, and yeah, that's it.
So we said we didn't actually name our city. So we said our community would have no weapons. We would have public notifications like amber alerts on our phones. If something went wrong, then everyone will get the public notification. We will people will be provided with diversity training so that they should know they should communicate with each other in a respectful way and should love each other. And there will be mental health improvements without police, opportunity for leadership developments, living peacefully, anxiety levels will go down, and more opportunities for men of color to grow, and more community engagement. Thank you.
You was on stand up.
All right, our city, we forgot to put a name up because that was hard. But I won't. We had some options and we couldn't decide, so. But some alternatives to police would be freedom fighters. We would have our own neighborhood watch, a food or a workshop service, like where we can all feed each other and like have like some time to be together and learn. We had a free childcare, like a clothing kind of trade, well-qualified teachers and translators for our students. We would have unions for workers. We would have farmers markets that has better food than low-quality food, like healthy organic food. We would have healthcare, and we would also put a focus on mental health in our community. We would have parent training and inclusion so that they're involved in their children's lives. Life skills to be taught in school, like home economics, taxes, bills, budgeting, and financial literacy, car repairs, and all that stuff. Animal protection, art accessibility, so we can have access to poetry, to painting, to a lot of the expensive resources that you need to create arts. We would have government and political education so we would know what's going on in political systems, what the executive branch does, what the legislative branch does. Free transportation, playgrounds, well-funded libraries, green and clean energy, a youth center for you to just hang out and not have to spend any money, but you can still be with your friends. Religious spaces, no guns and no other weapons. Access to those with disabilities, and then our own news, and then access to all outlets, because we know the New York Times you have to pay to have access to the New York Times. So it's like if you wanted to read their articles, you have free access to that, and then as an alternative to prison, we would have rehabilitation.
Let it sit. I'm gonna just let it sit for a sec. Let it breathe. Let it breathe. Look it. Real talk. Why can't all the things we came up with exist right now? So we talk about money, said bureaucracy. Now, I was hoping y'all was going to pause for a little bit and wasn't going to give me a straight response. But I think that shows a lot, though. We assume there are so many barriers to us creating alternatives. And a lot of times it is money. A lot of times where our funding goes, for example, in Seattle, King County is putting up $210 million to build a youth jail. There is currently a youth prison on 12th and Alder. I'm saying this slow so you understand what I'm saying. On 12th and Alder in the Central District of Seattle, there is currently a prison facility for young people. They call it a juvenile, okay? Right, very close to Bailey Gatzert Elementary School, okay? Like literally 2 blocks away from an elementary school, okay? In a historically black neighborhood. The King County is putting up $210 million to renovate this location so that there are 150 more beds. At the very same time, Seattle Public School District is in violation of what they call the McCleary Act. The McCleary Act is a federal expectation of school districts to properly allocate funds to all schools. This has been the case since 2016. So at the very same time, King County is putting up over $200 million to put young people in prison. The schools that they would be going to are being underfunded. Do you see a problem with that? I see a problem with that. And I will call that out 7 days a week, 8 days a week if I could. Okay? These are the kind of inconsistencies. When you look at our country at a national level, we spend most of our money on what? Military, defense, the military-industrial complex. But when it comes to punishment, when it comes to making budget cuts, what gets cut first? Education. Does this make sense? And this is what I'm talking about. People say, oh, Rell, man, you too serious about it, man. It's not that big a deal. It really is. You put your money where your value is. And so when we look at the system that's in place, it's not even that the idea, I won't say that. When you study the history of policing in the United States of America, you will get back to a nefarious past. You will. I said in the song earlier, 1850, please recall the Fugitive Slave Act. There were local militias. The Second Amendment, your right to bear arms, that came out of the mentality that militias could organize to receive their slaves if they ran away. That's where the idea of the Second Amendment came from. Your right to bear arms is obviously very different from when its inception was. Okay? In 1793, Congress put forth this thing called the Fugitive Slave Act. In 1850, it got ratified. Okay? There was a case called the Dred Scott case. It was a young man named Dred Scott, okay, who was enslaved in an area where slavery was legal. His master and him went to a location where slavery was no longer legal. It was an area where slavery had been abolished. And he said, I'm free. I know I was enslaved back then with him, but I'm in a location where slavery's not legal, so I should be free, right? When it went to the first court, he won his freedom. But then it went to appeals, the appellate court, all the way up to the Supreme Court. You can study all of this. Like I said, bro, I'm not just like lying. If you want to study any of this stuff, you can Google it. I'll give you information where you can find it, okay? It went all the way to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court ruled in 1850, if you are enslaved, if you're born a slave, even if you go to territory where there is not slavery, you are still a slave. That's what the Supreme Court ruled in 1850. That's what? 100 and something years ago. 160 something, 170 something years ago. That's not that long. It was the Supreme Court that ruled that. And this is actually where the idea of policing came out of. We need people to monitor spaces and bring back runaway slaves to their plantations because people were considered property, value. And then today, most of the crimes in the city of Seattle are crimes against property, not crimes against people. Whenever we talk about, oh, but if there's no police, what about the rapists? What about homicides? What about aggravated assault? Fact is, that's actually not the majority of crimes that are committed. Most people that are upstate in Monroe, most people that are upstate in prison are there for nonviolent crimes. But our imagination and the propaganda within the news that tells us that there's all these violent things happening all the time, we start to think and we start to believe it. Now, that's not to say that there's not violence in our communities, right? I grew up in a neighborhood. I was losing my friends to gang violence when I was still in single digits. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not by any means saying that we're not in violent neighborhoods. But there's a reason why. And I believe that if we can make a proper investment in young people, in education, in elevating them, in getting them opportunities, like y'all all said, all of those things, some of those things do exist. Of what y'all said, community gardens, leadership opportunities, some of the things do exist, but they got a cap. There's a limit on how much can happen and how much that can operate. And I've had the opportunity to organize in a pretty radical way to really bring some of these things to the forefront. Last year, I was with a crew called the Seattle People's Party, and we ran for mayor of Seattle. We actually took the city by storm. How many of y'all heard of somebody named Nikita Oliver? Oh, okay, so y'all a little bit familiar with the People's Party, Nikita, okay? It was one of the first grassroots organizing examples when it comes to running for a public office, okay? Nikita, a black woman originally from Indiana, been out here for about 12 years. I grew up with her. I've known her since I was 12 years old. So that's about 13 years. She's like a big sister to me. And we started meeting with a whole bunch of folk, a bunch of organizers. And we were like, what can we do to change the material conditions of our people? No matter what civil rights movement you're talking about, no matter what suffrage movement you're talking about, the conditions of African Americans in the United States has not changed or got better. Facts. We are still the most criminalized. We are still making up majority of the prisons. We are still undereducated. We are still unhoused. We are still unemployed. And you say, oh, well, shouldn't that be like on y'all to do that in your own community? If that was the fair, if the playing field was fair, okay, that's why at schools we got to have a office of diversity. We got to have an office of it. Okay, it doesn't just exist. It's not just there. Okay, and so when we talk about changing the material conditions of our people, we were like, what can we do? And we actually decided to run a message campaign. Y'all know what a message campaign is? That's just like saying, let's just throw our name in the hat so that we can show up to the debates and school these guys and everything. Because who knows what's going on in our communities better than we do? Nobody. It's our neighborhood. We know. And if you've ever paid attention to a local campaign in a similar way on a national campaign, there are certain substantive areas they focus on. They talk about education. They talk about housing. They talk about economics. They talk about military, how we're going to do with the war or whatever. On a local level, it's very similar. There are a number of substantive areas that they try to address, okay? And what we were able to do was shift what that conversation looked like. So I actually want to show y'all some of this stuff. Just to kind of fast forward, we were able to raise over $130,000 in the course of 4 months. And that money was distributed into the neighborhoods. It was paying for a lot of on the ground. In Seattle, there's a number of districts. There's about 9 districts in the city of Seattle. We were able to have district leads in every district of the city. So contrary to popular belief, thinking that we was just organizing in black and POC spaces, actually it was our white volunteers that put in hella work. And it was our folks, our allies, and our comrades that recognized that it's not just going to happen with us. We weren't just going to win that campaign. We weren't going to win the vote with just black folk. In the city of Seattle, it's 6.4% black. So even if every black person in the city voted for somebody, Also, we learned only 35% of registered voters voted in the general election. 35%. And people always accuse who of not voting? They say it's young people. They say it's people of color, okay, that are the ones that are not voting. What we learned, and you can, like I said, we can debate about it, we can talk about it. I'm just speaking from my experience, okay? What we learned is that there's actually ways that other people, wealthy people, vote without actually casting their vote. For example, they might give $10,000 to a campaign, and that's their vote. Because if you look at it, if you correlate who wins elections with who had the most money, most times whoever has the most money wins the election. President Obama, perfect example. most money ever raised in a campaign, in a presidential campaign on earth. President Obama, 2008. He won. It was the most money ever raised for a presidential campaign. Jenny Durkin, who is the current mayor in Seattle, raised the most money. She had corporate sponsors, Amazon, Microsoft, Boeing. They throwing tens, thousands of dollars at her, okay? And what we saw was that there was a correlation between how much money was raised and who won. I just want to show you some of the issues that we focused on, okay? We did talk about electoral representation. How many of y'all often see people that look like you in your local office, your local public officials? How many of y'all see that very often? No one's raising their hand. That's kind of weird. How can no one see people? Okay. For my brothers and sisters, my black folk, how many of y'all see a lot of black folk in public office? Mayors, council members. You're not black, sis. Sorry. Mayors, council members, etc. White folk, do y'all see people that look like you in public office? Yes or no? Yes. Okay. Latinas, Latinx, we might see a couple, maybe have one. You know what I'm saying? We got Sonia Mayor. We might have one. We might have two. And then same for Asians. You might have a few. There's a couple that they tokenize it. So we thought if we were able to really put this idea of, yo, black woman in leadership, y'all need to support this, that people would feel that. And we actually had other candidates like Bob Hasagawa that would say, you know, we need more women of color in leadership. Then fool, why you running against her? That don't make no sense to me. How can you acknowledge we need more black women in leadership and you're undercutting the process that they're trying to put into place? That didn't make sense to me. Okay, so electoral representation, that was one of the things that we focused on. This was actually a really big issue for us. Homelessness and housing. In the city of Seattle, there are over 4,500 homeless people. Calculations have showed that over 70%, upwards of 80% of all those homeless people grew up in Seattle. That means that with this regentrification, the Amazonians moving in our city, it's actually folk that are from Seattle that's getting the boot. And so we wanted to focus on this. One, because it's very close to home. I know a number of homeless folk. I know a number of houseless folk. In my community, it's not anything rare to see a lot of people in your neighborhood, especially when it comes to young people. At Rainier Beach High School, we have the highest amount of homeless youth, which means sometimes you're sleeping on your homie's couch. It may mean sometimes you have to go to the other side of the city for the closest resource. In the city of Seattle, there are no homeless shelters for young men in South Seattle. You have to get on a bus and go to UW. You got to go to the U District. Or you have to go to New Horizons, which is on the corner of 3rd and Cedar, downtown. But statistics also show that the largest percentage of people under the age of 18 that suffer from homelessness, where do they live? South Seattle. But the resource is not in the neighborhood. These are all things that I was able to learn because we had to prepare for debates. We had to organize caucuses and spaces. And so these are just some of the things that I was able to learn, y'all. Public safety, we talk about policing. We talk about people not being disposable. We talk about fills expensive Seattle jail cells without making our communities healthier. I wouldn't beef with the idea of police if my community was still being invested in. I wouldn't say nothing. I'd be quiet. But it's the very fact that we losing kids to the streets, that we losing kids to jail, and our communities are not being invested in. If it was both, I might feel a little bit different, but it's not. That's why I go ham, okay? And I talked about education already. And I'm just gonna keep reiterating, yeah, I do a lot when it comes to music, and the way y'all hear me talking right now, that's how my music is. That's how I manifest my music, okay? And the reason why I'm gonna keep going back to manifest is because y'all have the power to really bring all of these ideas to fruition. You have the power and the access and the ideas, the brilliance to be able to make these things manifest. But what it comes down to is us really breaking down these barriers inside of us that cause us to not believe or causes us to not want to go out and do the dirty work. It's tough, for real. I don't make a whole lot of money serving young people, but I'm cool with that because I'm not a capitalist. But I do got to survive. I am complicit in heteropatriarchy. That has been internalized in me. And so I got to do the dirty work to get some of those things out. And I'm cool with talking about that stuff in my music, which some people won't do. Plug walk. Okay? I'm going to play a song for y'all real quick. Who that? Wappy. Wappy. Yeah. Rell Be free. Listen. You ain't gotta be a crook to be a dope dealer. You ain't gotta be a crook to be a dope dealer. I ain't never sold a dub, but I bought a dub. I ain't never sold a dub, but I bought a dub. I ain't never sold a dub, but I bought a dub. Yeah, I got it from the plug. Yeah, I got it from the plug. Yeah, I got it. The original indigenous bitter flow. My position is pivotal. Got some lines for your spiritual. Entendres and rhyme phrase, always with a metaphor. I ain't talking Ed Murray when I said a predator. Turning styles like tables, triple beam in the stables. Riding dope with the whoppy. Speak the truth if you able. Everybody's on a leash down to Bruce Harrell. The new mayor, a cover up. Who the new sheriff? Damn, yeah, I wrote this thing on Henny. Know the South ain't rocking with me on these high notes. I wrote raps like I'm Whitney. R.I.P. Raindrops don't stop till I can't see. Sometimes it feel like we be drowning in the shame. Wonder why these young niggas yell cocaine just to sell it to a white man judging the case. We on hamsters in the wheel, keep running in place. Rooted, or hold your breath until you plumb in the face. Why you coming for my crown? You just wanna be king, huh? You ain't gotta be a crook to be a dope dealer. You ain't gotta be a crook to be a dope dealer. I ain't gotta sell a dub, but I flip a brick. Building houses in Tijuana like I'm on mission trips. I don't get no pippin' lit. Jordan, how I'm spittin' it. Reppin' for the South and straight from Jefferson to Henderson. Rack it like it's Wimbledon. Williams twin, how I get it in. Recognize these haters is jealous because I'm winning it. Every competition now requires composition in a business where you only get respect by commission. Expect no different from this industry that pity me. Hope shit, dope shit, walk like a centipede. You ain't gotta be a crook to be a dope dealer. You ain't gotta be a crook to be a dope dealer. I ain't gotta kill Saddam just to be the bomb. I ain't gotta rule the world just to be the one. You ain't never sold a dub, but you bought a dub. Ay, I ain't never sold a dub, but I bought a dub.
Wanna gas your boy because I'm shooting a video in the street.
There was people making fun of me when I was doing that. Southeast Seattle Police Precinct. They probably guilty of the most racial profiling, criminalization of young people all across the city, man. I know they do a lot of talking about linking up with some of the local businesses and organizations and all that. And abolitionists don't think we even need that. This is a waste of money. If we invested in our communities, we wouldn't need nothing like this. They getting checked out in there, man. So there's a movement called No New Youth Jail. And they moved to not only
Benji Fields was popping.
Whoa. Who that is? I don't know who this is.
Yeah.
Where's the thing at?
Some regular
Okay, Cardi B, Red Bars. Whoa. Y'all heard that new Cardi B album? Anybody heard that? Shout out to young Cardi. Yeah. I fucks with Cardi B. Okay. Let's get back to where he was at, though. Thank you. Sidebar. Artistry and music is one way that has always been used to affect change in the neighborhood, in a space, in the city, in a country, in a context. I'm gonna give you a few examples. My partner, my girlfriend, she's Khmer. Most people think of don't know what Khmer means. Cambodian. Okay. In Cambodia, from 1975 to 1981, there was this thing called the Khmer Rouge. It's one of the most recent examples of genocide. Okay, Pol Pot was one of the folks that the names pop up. During this genocide, the people that they identified first to get rid of were people who were educated, teachers, artists, musicians, obviously politicians and things like that. But music and artistry has always been a tool for revolution. In Trinidad, y'all know where Trinidad is? Yeah? In the Caribbean? Okay, Stokely Carmichael. If y'all heard of him, he was one of the, he was a chairman of the Black Panthers. He was the chairman of SNCC. He's from Trinidad. In Trinidad, there was a movement where they got rid of music. They were not letting people do music. They would come in, they would actually go into folks' houses, take their drums, take their guitars, and say, no, y'all can't make music, okay? This is actually what calypso music has come out of. Reggae, reggaeton, very similar, but calypso music came out of people drilling holes in steel vats and then banging them with a stick and made this music called calypso, which has captured the hearts of people all over the world. And so much more has been built from that. This is an example of music being important. I lived in Guatemala twice. Y'all know where Guatemala is? Where my Spanish speakers at? What's up, sis? Much love. Okay, I lived in Guatemala twice. And what I learned, there was a civil war in Guatemala. They said it officially ended in 1996. It's still happening right now because the people who are indigenous to the land are usually the folk that are getting messed with, okay? And still today, they're being manipulated and marginalized in Guatemala. But the folks that got killed first, educators, musicians, okay? Obviously politicians. Music has always had that kind of power. And that's why I do the kind of music that I do. Because there's enough people, there's enough Cardi B's, there's enough Migos, there's enough Rich the Kids. I like that music too, but that ain't my reality. And so what I'm doing is I put this stuff that I know about into music. I try to make it digestible and palatable. And so everybody has a piece of paper and a pen on the chair. I don't know what color this is. Where's my homegirl that told me that that wasn't teal? What color is this? Orangish. Yeah, orangish yellow. You say you don't know? Mustard. Let's call it mustard. We're gonna call it Dijon. Okay? This is Dijon. Everybody got a Dijon paper, okay? And a pen. We are gonna take, because I know you're wrapping up, I would like us to take 5 minutes to create either an artistic expression. So that can be a drawing, that can be a poem, it might be a song. You might just want to free write, and that's definitely okay. So we'll call it a free write session, because if you want to just write, you can. And I did ask for them to have some tables. There's a few tables back there if you don't got a hard enough thigh to write on. I know, I got bony thighs, so I can write on my thigh. If you feel like you need a table, though, you can go ahead and do that. But we're going to take 5 minutes to just reflectively express with an artistic element. And so I would like you to write a poem. I would like you to write a song. I would like you to draw a picture. And it doesn't have to be about the things that we talked about today. But if anything is sparked into your mind, this is whatever's at the forefront of your mind right now. It might be something that was totally different than what we talked about today. But I want to give us some space to create. Because so much of school and academia is this, that, math, oh, this equals that. And we don't, well, as we get older, there's less space to be creative. And so I want to give us some time to do that. We're going to take 5 minutes. Does everybody kind of know what we're about to do? It's a free write session, but you can definitely reflect on some of the things that we've talked about. Incarceration, abolition, local politics. You know what I'm saying? I've said a lot. So I'm about to pause for a good 5 minutes, and then we're going to come back. I'm going to close out, and then we're going to have time for us to do a little survey so y'all can judge me, okay? I'm playing. 5 minutes, it's going to be quiet. If y'all want to participate, you can too. more minutes. Maybe start wrapping it up. While y'all are finishing up, Bob Marley said, "Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. No one else can free our minds." It's a song called Redemption Song. And a lot of what we talk about, all these things I'm talking about, it starts at the self level. Okay, we talk about how do we love our neighbor better? How do I love my girlfriend better? How do I love my friends better? And it starts with loving ourselves better, like that song by Jamila Woods. And then a lot of it starts with the self. And this also starts with self. And so everything that I've said today is letting y'all know, I'm extremely critical. I'm like that. But understand and know that I'm just like that with myself. And I don't know if that gives justification or rationalization, but the critique that I put to the systems and everything external to myself, I also have to turn that mirror and see where I can grow and see where my blank spots are and my blind spots are. And having people around you, a community that can support that, and can really invest in you, because it's going to start with yourself. It starts with self. I'm starting a label called Unchained, and I'm going to do a song for y'all, and then I'm going to be done at the end of this song, and we're going to do our little, what's it called, evaluations, okay? I'm going to do the song called Unchained, and it really has to do with what it means to be free, but in a very different context, and so I'm going to rock this for y'all. If you want to snap, you can snap. I don't know if y'all got a rhythm or not. Y'all got a rhythm? We'll see. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I hear a snap in there. Look, beacon on my back, got a brick on my shoulder. Rattle lyrics like bullets, pull them out of the holster. Every piece getting lit, I deliver them sober, cause these streets getting colder, beefs getting older. Youngins got heat, but they don't got degrees. Ready to burn any nerve with they heart on the sleeve. Peace don't come when your pain still bleed. Dripping on your Timbs like your soul ain't free. Chain broke, no chain smoke. I don't get paid for no lame quotes. I do this cause I'm a gang, yo. Just cause I'm black, that don't make me no slave, bruh. I got amendments, this pistol would say so. See, sometimes I gotta tell my brother, man, why we always kill each other? It's usually the system. Today the fam's against them. They got the mindset, the truth could not convince them. I teach about commitment. I ride for my people. They'd rather competition. The pride there is lethal. I ain't really tripping though, cause I'm gonna roll with my crew. When we pull up, we be like, hootie hootie hoo, what you wanna do? Caught you slipping solo, so I roll with my crew. Catch 22, shooters bang bang. Educated hitters, that's the Unchained gang. I said hootie hootie hoo, what you wanna do? Caught you slipping solo, bro. I roll with my crew. Catch 22, shooters bang bang. Educated hitters, that's an unchained gang. Look, moving your truth in the path of the middle passage. I witnessed bodies in masses. Of course, the voyage was tragic. The fact that we made it past it, absolute magic. So you gotta give it, we gotta have it. Youth inherit revolution in the passing forever. I'm getting better like Stokely and Ella sitting together. You need to get about the little leagues, swinging on your history. How you missed the story, that's a mystery. And you ain't got no real bars, that's a misdemeanor. I'm hot as kerosene, closer to my roots, the Caribbean. Take me out my scheme, add a duel to your schedule. Put me out beginning in the end, like a metronome. I got a brick on my shoulder. I'm dope when I'm focused. I eat beats, no lyrics. I spit locusts. I don't even want to do this no more. Bye, y'all. I'm playing. I speak for Don Trey. I rap for Devin. I got a rep for the young kings resting in heaven. I speak for Charmaine. I spaz for honor. I shine cause I'm blessed. I grind for my mama. Got degree. Now you hot. What a cliche. One day I'ma speak Kamayan so Nike to spark the revolution. Educated nonsense, strategic with the content, represent the progress. But hold up, back to revolution. All my folks, we gon' get our restitution. LA to Houston, Guate to Cuba, Rio to Denial, Rell Be the golden child. I'm here now. I'ma teach these dumb rappers. I'ma eat the crumbs after. Having breakfast with my girl, I'll probably get some lunch after. I'm to another chapter, done with the status quo. And blacks taking the country, I feel like Overture. I'm freeing everybody, we'll write it in the Constitution. Slaves to supreme beings, Rell Be free the revolution. Manifest up one time, how we do it? I said, who? What you wanna do? Caught you slipping solo, so I roll with my crew. Catch 22, shooters bang bang. Educated hitters, that's an unchained gang. I said, who? What you wanna do? Caught you slipping solo, bro. I roll with my crew. Catch 22, shooters bang bang. Educated hitters, that's an unchained gang, unchained. Unchained. Word up. Hey, yo, I go by Rell Be free. You can call me Jerrell. It was a blessing to be up in this space with y'all today. I hope that y'all really got something out of today. Take them poems. I would like to get them chart papers back because that's going to be some stuff I'm going to take to my crew and be like, look at what these young folk came up with. These are things that we can do to invest in our neighborhood. So you want to take a picture of that, bring it back to your hood, hold on to your poem. I think there's still food. I'm going to pass the mic to Sister. We're going to do a survey, okay? Appreciate y'all. Much love. Holla at me.